Dinking, smashing, third shot, dropping, got pickleball fever, and it's not stopping. It's Pickle and Mickle. Pickle and Mickle. Pickle and Mickle, all right. Welcome back on the court with me, Pickle with Mickle. Another great interview. Meeting great people in the Pickleverse is something I do not take for granted. It is an awesome privilege. Morgan Evans is awesome. Coach and GM of the Arizona Drive Major League Pickleball team, an aspiring author, and so much more. One thing for certain, he did not have anything to do with Julian Arnold's spin serve. Andiamo! I hope you enjoy my drive on the court with Morgan Evans. I really appreciate you making some time to join me on the court here, as I like to say, Pickle with Mickle. Fastest growing pickleball podcast segment that you now know of and have been a part of.
Look, it's a very exciting time to be alive. I mean, Pickle with Mickle, I've made it.
Yeah, now you can say that you have, although I think you've made it a little sooner than I found pickleball. And that's really where I kind of wanted to start, is from what I can find out. And super excited again. Thanks for joining me here, Morgan. I mean, I can tell way back to 2016, 17, you were on the Pickle radar. When did it really start for you?
Well, 2014 is when I first picked up a paddle. And yeah, I think it all kind of traces back to tennis, trying to teach the game of tennis around the world, and then finding myself in California, playing a couple of games with some local tennis pros, then moving to Seattle in the summer of 2014, and again in 2015, and playing with a good bunch of misfits up there who took me under their wing. And so to speak, the rest is history. But back then, it was certainly a simpler time.
Absolutely not anywhere near what we're seeing right now with the pickle explosion, so to speak. I mean, there were still professional events and tournaments, but I mean, and that was only 10 years ago. To think about how we're viewing and seeing pickleball today, I think it's amazing. I really took notice of it maybe only 2 years ago, even though as you know, a weekend warrior myself, and you're out at the golf course and you see pickleball all over the place, but I just really didn't know about it.
Well, yeah, it's true. I found myself meeting a lot of people 3 or 4 years ago that had still never heard of it, just out and about in the public. And then it seems like it kind of hit critical mass, you know, a year and a half, 2 years ago, where just the vast majority had not only heard of it, but had probably started playing it. Yeah, it's amazing how quickly it's grown, but you know, the writing was on the wall. I think it's just such a fun addiction for everybody to take part in that it was only a matter of time before it takes over the world.
And it certainly is a worldwide game. And I know there's a lot of push in powers that be at pickleball to get this as an Olympic sport. I think we might even see it as soon as LA in 28. Now, yourself as a coach, that kind of really took hold of some traction. Is that fair to say 2016, or would that be more 2017?
Yeah, probably 2017. I think that's when Tyson asked me to come on board and coach him for singles. And that sort of started a lot of things for me, coming on after that for Selkirk as the team coach, and then working with a few other players that have definitely made a name for themselves. That part of things is a very intriguing area of the whole pickleball ecosystem. And it was a way for me to kind of branch out beyond playing, because, you know, 41 years old. Yeah, as a player, I wasn't going to be hanging out anywhere near the top for too much longer. So it was good to kind of pivot into more of a coaching arena when I did, and now it's kind of that, as well as my work with the Arizona Drive, the MLP team. It's giving me a reason to get out of bed most mornings.
Well, I think it's a great reason. I mean, right smack in the middle of the Pickleverse, and going back to working with pros like Tyson, pros like Julian Arnold. Now, you taught him the spin serve, is that right?
Who are we talking about here?
Julian Arnold.
Well, he doesn't do the spin serve, and the spin serve's been illegal for a while now. So, it hasn't been legal since the beginning of the year.
Well, it was outlawed, or it was maybe illegal. But didn't you have a hand in helping him with that a little bit before it was illegal?
So Julian's never done the splint.
Maybe I read that wrong. Man, set me straight. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no. So the other player who really embraced it was Zane Navratil.
Zane, okay.
Used the paddle to elevate the ball and create a lot of spin during the ball toss. That was able to be done during COVID because of a loophole that he found in the rules during COVID that meant people didn't have to touch the ball, so they could just rest the ball on the paddle, lift the ball up, and hit the serve like that. Which applied a similar kind of spin that I would do with my left hand.
Okay.
During the ball toss. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
Everything, but Julian has always served by the book. He's got a good serve, certainly.
He's got some pop on that serve. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to the drive here in just a minute, because you got a pretty solid team heading up here into season 2, from what I can tell for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I think it's a well-rounded team, and I think they're good friends. Most of them live in the same area, so I think the chemistry will be there. The talent is there, so I'm excited for the first event in Atlanta in September. Coming
up September 21st is it the Peachtree Center there outside or right in Atlanta for ML. That's the start, folks, of MLP season 2. Now, back in the first season, were you aligned with the drive then, or did this just come about prior to this second part of MLP?
So I came on board after the first event. So they had one in Mesa. The ownership thought it would be a good idea to bring on a general manager and hopefully do double duty as a coach. They gave me the call, and it was a pretty simple yes. So I've been on board since the second event.
Okay.
The Daytona.
From Daytona on. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Excuse me real quick. Sorry about that. That's bad radio, folks. But when, and so now with the team, did you go to the draft in New York?
Yeah, I was there. Great event.
Talk about that a little bit. What was the experience of the draft, the MLP draft? From looking afar, it looked like they did it pretty right. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. I honestly, I think I've only been to Central Park once or twice in my life, and I've never seen that ice skating rink turned into to pickleball courts. So I thought the draft was a great setting, and I think a lot of the ownership were coming from relatively nearby. So we had a good contingent of owners, GMs. Some of the players came along, and obviously all the MLP brass. They hosted it brilliantly, and I loved the tent setup. Everybody had their own little private headquarters to set up shop. It was just a great energy, and a lot of fun to see how the draft was. I wasn't there for the first draft, but very happy to be part of the second one.
Absolutely, and I love the way the drive's coming together with the new logo. And coming out on the court for the drive season 2, I mentioned Julian Arnold. You've got Vivian David, as well as it's Deckel Bar, And rounding it out is Vivian, and I'm going to say her last name probably wrong. Is it Glosman?
Glosman.
Glosman, yeah.
Close.
And that's a solid 4 that you get to put out there. What's it going to take, though? Currently, Arizona Drive sitting at the 20 spot. What are we going to need? What's it going to take, Morgan, to get us up and get that title?
Yeah, look, points mean prizes. There's no doubt about it. Look, we've got some tried and true veterans of the game. Pickle has been around the courts for a long time, as has Vivian David. Julian, relatively new, and Vivian Glosman, obviously very, very new. She's our upside player. She's someone, if she lives up to even 20% of her hype in this season, we're going to be doing well. She has massive potential, the athleticism, the tennis background, obviously, raw power. Then I think this team is going to be able to get the best out of her. They're going to be able to guide her and really get her looking good on the left side in the women's. Vivian David obviously is a phenomenal right side player. Her defense and her reset ability is just shockingly good. There's nothing that seems to get past her. And I think pairing her up with Dekel Bar, who, he's just the Israeli demigod. He's hit serves bigger than most people hit tennis serves. It's just first of all, he is a human being to behold when you see him standing on the pickleball court with the paddle in his hand. Yeah, legs like tree trunks. But he's also just the nicest guy. There's just there's a very small collection of guys and girls on tour that you could literally no one can deny that they are just phenomenal human beings. And Dekel is definitely one of them. I mean, they're all wonderful people, but I've always had a real affinity towards Dekel because he, no matter what I do and what I say on the air or whatever, he always gives me the time of day. He always smiles. We always shoot the breeze. And obviously Julian Arnold, the man, he's got more energy than anybody on the tour. And I think his natural inclination for offense means that pressure doesn't really affect him too much. I haven't seen I'm going to knock on wood. I'm going to find all the wood around here, but
I got some too.
It's fantastic how good man. I can hear it. That sounded a little more like aluminum or aluminium, as we say.
Aluminium. That's right.
Aluminium. That's right. He firstly, his tactical ability, his skills as a leader brought the Mad Drops to the victory in season 1, and that's something that really weighed into the decision to draft him in round 1. There was a couple of choices in that spot, in that number 7 spot, and for me, his ability to always be high energy, high output, always positive, to get the crowd going, to kind of ignite the motivation in a team. That's something that's a real X factor, and it makes a Major League Pickleball player stand out from perhaps someone with very similar skills that doesn't quite have that same kind of energy, that same kind of personality. So I tell you, this is a team to watch.
I'm going to be watching. I mean, from right here in Arizona, we need the drive to get it going. I mean, I spoke with Caitlin Kerr earlier in the year. She's out there with the Owls, and they're trying to hoot around and do their thing too. But I really love MLP. I was out at the Mesa event, and I've got to see it. I think it's as what it is, Major League Pickleball. I think it's going to get a lot of eyes because I think people love that team atmosphere, and I think they're doing it the right way with flipping the teams. Having it come season 1 to season 2. It's not a relegation. We're going to play Challenger. We're going to flip them and play Premier versus Challenger now. This redraft is really cool because it doesn't matter what team you're on now. You're helping this team move towards that goal, towards that title. And it's really great. You've got 4 great ones out there for sure. And starting in September, let's see how the Drive climb up that ladder and try to take that title away. We had the Mad Drops get one. We had the Pioneers from Seattle get the last one, I believe, in the overall. So it's time for the Drive.
Definitely. Look, we have one objective. We've got to get inside that top 12 before the end of the year. So we stay at the Premier level. That's our goal. But when it comes down to, we're going to be focusing on 1 point at a time, equaling one game, equaling one match that gets us to the Saturday, that gets us to the Sunday, that gets us the win, that gives us the confidence to get into the next event and do well, and so on and so forth. So, we're not looking past this first event. We're incredibly excited for our team to see how well they jive together. Look, I think they've got a great chance, and they're training hard. They're all playing a lot of events. They're used to the pressure now, and I tell you, I wouldn't bet against us.
Not me. Not going to. No, spoken like a great coach right there. And as we continue to talk, now you mentioned to me before you're right outside of Philly. Now, is that where you live, or is that just where you are for a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm kind of between places at the moment. Often in California, in the Palm Desert area.
Nice.
Also in the Pennsylvania region. I spent some time in New York and New Jersey. There's a lot of tournaments around this area.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the ownership is around here. So, look, it's a good part of the world, especially in the summer. My old stomping grounds in the desert, it's 117 or something today. So
106 right now, and it's 1:16 in the afternoon. We're cooling off a little this week, but then we're poised for another little heat spell. And that's what I was going to ask you. When's the last time you were out here in the Valley in Phoenix?
Phoenix. When was I in Phoenix? God, that's a good question.
Been a little bit.
It's been a little while. Although we are looking at the various new venues that are springing up in the Phoenix area, Scottsdale, Tempe, for potential kind of home stadiums, so to speak.
Oh yeah, okay.
At some point in the not too distant future, the league will likely move towards a different kind of model whereby teams will require to have a home court, a home stadium,
like a training or a stadium. Okay.
Yeah. So there's home and away games.
Mm-hmm.
We're not quite sure exactly when that'll transpire, but the smart money is probably early 2025. So we're just trying to get our ducks in a row, make sure we've got the right kind of facility that will play home base for the Arizona.
I've got some ideas already. I mean, there's a lot of great people, great names involved in MLP, certainly behind the ownership of the Drive. We could center it up. We could do it out there in Glendale, open the roof, do it downtown, bank one ball. Oh, it's not called that anymore. I don't know. We could make it really cool, but there's also certainly some already existing pickle places that could be pretty great for the Drive as well. Speaking of the ownership and names on the team, who would you say that you've seen as the best pickler out of the group?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, come on, mate.
You're the coach. You can't get in trouble.
This is my job. No. This is my job on the line here. I'm gonna say it's a dead tie between Doug and Larry.
Okay.
Yeah, Doug's got the experience. He's dinked a few more balls, but Larry Fitzgerald, the man is an athlete, the likes of which. Who's ever seen? I mean, geez.
I saw Larry out.
Tactician, we've got Magnus Carlsen.
Yo, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
And Michael Phelps. How does Phelps pickle?
I haven't seen him live. I did see a bit of an exhibition with him and Larry, and there was a couple of things to work on. I think we can agree, but there's a chance we'll get them all together, or at least 3 or 4 of them in September, and
fantastic.
Get them doing a little bit of exhibition against the team.
Oh, I think that'd be great. I think that'd be great.
I'll let you know when that happens.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Fitzgerald, if he puts himself into it, he's gonna do it. And I mean, from, obviously football, he's a tremendous golfer from what I've read and know. I've never had a chance to meet him, but I've seen him on the pickleball court, and he gets after it.
Yeah, for sure. Just a machine. Loves his singles. I think a lot of the time he just really wants to get a great workout, and chasing a pickleball is a fun way to do it.
And talk about that part of it, Morgan, as a player. Now you mentioned, hey, you're all of 41. I've got a few years on you, and I'm around a 3.4999. I might be a little higher according to some of the teaching pros that I've played for, but I love playing. I'm getting a little better. Talk about how, hey, this is a sport that's giving you a workout, and you need to work out a little before you just hop out onto the court, so we don't have all these ankles and sprains and all these pickle injuries that are happening.
Yeah, for sure. No, look, I mean, it's we've long since realized that PTs, their business model has risen quite considerably since the birth of the pickleball boom, and people are still very often underestimating the demands of pickleball, because it is primarily a repetitive stress situation, and it's not usually an acute injury that gets them sidelined. It's often one where they don't realize that spending 6 hours on the court 7 days a week, just because it's doubles, isn't going to do them damage, because it takes a serious toll, and it often requires a doctor to tell you that now you have what will probably turn into being known as pickleball elbow as opposed to tennis elbow. If you're lucky, that's the worst of it. But knees and hips, those tend to take so much of the damage. It's a hard court. People often aren't wearing great footwear to play, and they're unaware that just the sheer amount of hours they're putting into it is going to take their toll. So it's certainly a case of you're better off getting fit to play pickleball. Don't use pickleball to get fit.
That's a great point. It's part of that. It's part of that exercise that you do. You're not jumping up on the court to feel like, all right, that was my cardio for the day. Although you get plenty of it if you play like me, because you got to run around.
Do you play singles, or are you just a doubles man?
I mainly have been playing doubles. Haven't played a lot of singles. Not against it. I'm I'm 50. Played a lot of tennis growing up. Never competitive, but not against the singles. But mostly, in the rec play, it's doubles, which is a lot of fun.
Good. Look, I mean, small amounts of singles, once or twice a month, can help your doubles. Don't go crazy with it. But
okay.
Yeah, I think do some work in the gym to get the lower body prepared to be able to stay lower for longer periods of time, and the game gets wildly easier. You're not just going to be preventing injuries, you're going to be performing at a much higher level the moment you can move faster, prepare earlier, change direction quicker, and not have fatigue set in too quickly. You're going to be able to play more games, get more quality hours, and that will add up very quickly. So it's definitely worth putting in the effort to prepare the body, as opposed to trying to use pickleball just to, keep yourself alive for a little longer.
And there's a great point. One of the nice things about Pickle with Mickle, and here with Morgan Evans, again, appreciate the time. This guy is a professional coach, folks. He's the coach and GM for the Arizona Drive, our Arizona Drive, MLP Season 2, coming up in September out there in Hotlanta. Now, what Morgan just said, and folks, I don't give out tips. I like to bring pickleball to the people. Stay low. You got to stay low. and you got a better chance of not always putting it into the net. Work on it. There's a great tip. Not from me, from Morgan, and he's a pro. Now, before I get you out of here, because I like to stick to my word, keep you right around the 30 minutes, because I know your time is valuable. When you're not pickling, what does Morgan like to do? How do you kick it? Are you a movie guy, music guy, other sports?
Yeah, good question. Right now I'm doing a fair amount of writing. I'm writing a book, and that's keeping my mind occupied. Inside the pickleball space, the book is a pickleball. It's going to be a guide for players and coaches. But I teach occasionally private lessons. I do clinics, and I focus a lot right now on, honestly, the team, and it means just the world to me if we can get this team over the hump. When I'm not doing that, I used to play a lot of golf. I had to give it up. I still, for some reason, on my news feed, I still get a lot of golf stuff, so I'm ending up reading about it quite a lot. But some graphic design stuff, some 3D animation, and just advertising work for Selkirk.
Yeah. Very cool.
The comedy skits for them keeps my brain moving.
That's awesome. I love the book. I love the action with the brain in the book. And also, first season of MLP, you were doing some play-by-play. Are we going to hear any of Morgan foraying back behind the mic again, or are we going to just concentrate on the coach and get the team to where they need to be?
Yeah, for now, I'm just going to be focusing on the team. We've got 3 events to get us over the line, get inside that top 12. So that's we're looking at all the inches, the tiny little things that are going to add up to helping the team get over the line. So that's my main focus. When I have time to do other things, I certainly will enjoy it. But for now, it's all systems go for MLP Season 2.
I love it. So if MLP, if they came to you and they were like, you know what, we heard you on that podcast, that Pickle with Mickle thing. What about Pickle with Morgan and Mickle pregame show? I don't know. We'll let it marinate.
Yeah. We'll let it soak. We'll sleep on it.
Yeah, we'll sleep on it. We'll keep it in beta for a little while. See, there might be something there. You never know.
Hey, you got a good voice. I'll give you that.
Hey, well, I appreciate that very much. Last way I'm going to get you out of here, because you did tell me, hey, not really big American sports, but living outside of Philly, the Eagles buzz has to be building up a little bit. Can you feel it? Do you hear it around?
Well, I saw something on the news the other day about the retro jerseys, the really very green, and I think they were the fan favorites. It's not to say I'm going to get one of those jerseys. I just hope that the referees always have a good game, and that quarterback hits as many 3-pointers as he wants, and that when he throws it to the other guy, that they get around home base at the right time. So
perfect.
That's my take on it.
I think that's well said, and I think if they do that, they're going to probably win.
Yeah, they're going to win the sports ball.
That's right. They'll win the whole thing. They'll win the whole sports trivia bowl.
That's it. You know it.
All righty. Hey, Morgan, I really appreciate you taking the time, dinking around here. Pickle with Mickle, here with Morgan Evans. He's the coach, GM of our Arizona Drive. MLP Season 2, going to kick off in September. And we've got Julian Arnold, Vivian David, Deckel Barr, and also, like we know, the up-and-comer, Vivian Goldsman. This is a team to watch, folks. Don't worry about where we are now. Look at where we finish. Isn't that right, Morgan?
That's exactly right. It doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. You never have to get low if you're always low.
There you have it right there. I really appreciate it. Hey, did you have a good time here with me on the court?
100%. Good times, mate. Appreciate you having me on the show.
I really appreciate you. Thank you so much. Like I said earlier, I will get this all redistributed and it'll be out in the Podverse. If you follow me out there, I do appreciate. I'm going to be watching the drive. If I see you out there on the court, I'll be sure to say hi.
Sounds good, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Take care.
All right, take it easy.
That was a lot of fun. I can't wait for season 2 of MLP. It's in September in Atlanta, a far drive from here. You bet I'll be checking out the home team, Arizona Drive. I'm checking out for now. More great interviews to come here on the court. Thank you again, Morgan, for sharing your time with me. You can follow Morgan and the Arizona Drive out there on the socials. You can learn a little more about Morgan at selkirk.com. Stay low. I'll see y'all next time, right here for more.